Hello, everyone. So good to meet you. I'm happy to be here and just share some info and content. I am going to share my screen if I have that permission.
Yes.
See if it works. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to make this presentation mode. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, I'm Dr. Paulette J. Evans. I am CEO and founder of Evans Efficiency Experts. We are a process engineering consultancy focused on helping you solve complex problems, implement lasting change, and be your most productive self. So I am here to talk about hustling hard, ambition, action, and achievement. So as I go through some of these key highlights and best practices, just from what I do, from what I've helped clients understand and help them be their best selves, especially entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, because I'm a solopreneur and that's a whole different thing in itself, because it's just you and everything falls on you. And if you're asleep, that means something's not getting done. So this is a way to help you continue doing what you need to do and just going forward every day, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many no's you hear. So the hustle is its own term. I'm going to define that. Best practices in hustling hard. So the ambition, action, and achievement are kind of like your actions. The to-dos within those actions are the H.U.S.T.L.E. So it spells out hustle. So I'm going to go through hard work, unique offerings, steadfast engagement, time management, loving your accomplishments, and embracing everything. Then I'll recap and then close out for Q&A. A little bit about me. When I was 17, I was interviewed by a local paper in my hometown. I was valedictorian of my high school, and I stated that I ultimately want to own my own business. I mean, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? That kind of question. And so today I'm doing that. I spent 20 years hustling for corporate America, 10 years in manufacturing, and 10 years in healthcare. I loved all of it, but then I chose to utilize my expertise and skills to build my own company and choose who I want to help. So that's why I'm here today, and hoping everybody else has the same kind of story and passion for what you're doing. So in terms of hustle, it's to be aggressive in your work, to want something, fight for it every day, all day, give it your all to accomplish a goal, whatever that goal is for you. And this is one side note. Your goals are your goals. They're not society-defined goals. They're not what society tells you should do or what you maybe need to do, especially as women. Just do your thing, figure out what your goal is and work toward that. Tune out all the noise. So whatever that goal is, giving it your all to accomplish it is what hustling is. This movie clip from Hustle with Adam Sandler, I don't know if everyone's seen it. I haven't seen the entire movie. I was watching it and kind of got inspired by this scene. So that's how this presentation came about. But he's talking about basketball, but as you listen, replace the game with entrepreneurship and kind of think about your answers to his question.
Yep. I mean, love it with your whole heart. Because if you don't, let's not even bother. Let's not open that door. They're just going to slam it right in our face. I love this game. I live this game. And there's 1,000 other guys waiting in the wings who are obsessed with this game. Obsession's going to be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Is it all you ever think about? Let's face it, it's you against you out there. When you walk on that court, you have to think, I am the best guy out there. I don't care if LeBron's playing. So let me ask you again. Do you love this game?
Yes.
Is there a newborn kitten purring in here right now? I couldn't hear you. Do you want to be in the NBA? Yes! Well, let's make that happen. Never back down.
We're back. Okay. So
thanks for watching.
Again, it's the game in this situation is the entrepreneurship. It's what you are dying to do, the thing you want to own, the thing you want to put your name on. So if you are passionate about it, then you will continue doing what you do every day, keep it moving, and then take some of these best practices I'm going to share and implement them into your work, your life, your day. And hopefully it'll help you just push a little bit harder each time you're thinking about stopping or quitting your hustle. So best practices for hustling hard. So again, we're going to start with ambition. By definition, ambition is a strong desire to do or to achieve something. So it requires hard work, determination, and just willpower. First best practice, compete with yourself only. So like Adam Sandler said, it's you against you. Do not worry about what everyone else is doing. Don't follow what everyone else is doing. Don't get caught up in social media trying to figure out how you can be what they are being and do what they are doing. You are your own person. Think of it as you being your own competition, and you are your only competition. You don't need to compete with anyone else because it's going to be hard enough for you to talk yourself up and pump yourself up every day. So instead of thinking about what Sally's doing and what Mike is doing, figure out what you need to be doing and understand that you are your own competition. You want to be better than you yesterday, each day you wake up. I want to be my best self tomorrow. I want to do this plus this tomorrow. I did this today. I want to do that much more tomorrow. So keep that as kind of your mantra. Prioritize your goals daily. So I do a Sunday setup each week. So on Sunday, I go through Monday through Friday, figure out what I'm going to be doing, what I need to accomplish, kind of like a to-do list. But you have to prioritize your goals over everyone else's because no one else is prioritizing your goals. I tell women, again, a lot of times I'm talking to women and female audiences, you have to be selfish to be selfless. You cannot give up everything you're doing to help everyone else because you're going to spend 12 hours a day doing and going, and then lay your head down on the pillow and say, I needed to do 2 things today, and I got neither thing done. And then that screws up your whole week. Because if I have those 2 things on Monday and I helped everybody else except myself on Monday, now those 2 things are going to move to Tuesday. And Tuesday had 2 things on its own. So now I have 4 things, and it will keep multiplying each day. So it is a domino effect. If you can't prioritize those goals each day, and make sure you check off your to-do list before you start caring about everybody else's to-dos. And then find ways to stay motivated. Again, if that's a song, if it's a mantra, if it's a poem, keep it in front of you, keep it on your wall, keep it on your computer screen. I have a mantra I say out loud to myself when I wake up: I am fabulous and I can do anything. And that keeps me going throughout the day. It kicks off my day with this empowerment that I need to just wake up and get things done. Now, under ambition, we have the H in hustle. So hard work. It is imperative to make your dreams a reality. And like Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try. We don't try. Trying is a waste of time. We're going to just do things because that's what it's going to take for you to be successful in your business. In terms of best practices, first, remember your why. Why do you do this? You have to be excited about it. You have to be in that mode where you want to wake up every morning and just fight, kill everything in your way, remove all barriers, and just keep it moving. That why is what's going to fuel you and help you keep going, especially on the hard days. Staying focused, and that's whatever it needs to be for you. For me, I have a do not disturb function on my Android phone, and it is on from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. every day, no matter what, because after 10 p.m., I'm trying to wind down. I don't have time to answer your phone calls and fix your problems. I need to be shutting down my mind, and that takes about 2 hours in itself anyway, because my mind is always going. And again, as solopreneurs, anyone out there, you understand, it is a constant thing. You're thinking about the next thing and what I need to do on Friday and what business I can partner with to make this happen. So it's nonstop. So I don't want my phone going off. I don't want it ringing. I don't want alerts, none of that. And then 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I want to rev up for my day. I want to get myself going and have my coffee and meditate, think through the day, all of that. So 10 a.m. is when the do not disturb goes off. So do whatever works for you. I like to close out my windows. I put do not disturb on my notifications on my computer. If I really need to focus on a task, I can't have disruptions. Because when you get disrupted, then it's, again, a domino effect in terms of you trying to get back on track and get back into the groove. And then start your day with the most important task. So this is kind of like that night owl or early bird. It's depending on who you are and what motivates you and how you work. If you are more productive in the evening hours, then that's when you do your most important task. But if you're an early riser, do that big thing first and get it off your plate. And that way you can do all the little small things for the rest of the day. So find that zone of genius, I think is what they call it. Figure out what that looks like, and that's where you put your most important task. The U in hustle, unique offerings. So these are crucial, especially when you want to break through the noise of the market. There are 20 people that do this thing that you really want to do. How are you going to be different? How are you going to stand out in the crowd? So create a unique product or service. Figure out what that thing is that is missing in that space. Because the markets and niches, all these things are everywhere, but you need to figure out how you're going to break through and be that unique offering or product or service that people are going to say, oh, I want to go and work with her. I want to figure out what she's doing. Let me drill down further. Let me go to her website. Let me research what she's doing. Identify your strengths. Now, this is, again, one of those things where you don't want to make your work hard. You want to do something you're passionate about as an entrepreneur. Focus on what you're strong in. Focus on the areas you're really good at and the things that you do really well, because that's what you're going to be turning into a profit. Turn your passion into a profit. So whatever those strengths are, whatever you do really well, capitalize on that and those things. And then identify your target audience. You want to be selling to the people that are going to buy your product. You want to be focusing on the markets and the people, the audiences that are really into what you are selling. Otherwise, it's just white noise. You don't want to market, because then that's a waste of time. Marketing to someone who really isn't going to use your product, not going to find it interesting, not going to find it useful. So it's selling strategically is how you need to think about that. Now back to our actions. So action is the active process of doing something. So we're trying to achieve a goal. Again, those goals that you set, not society set goals, but your personal goals, business goals. Best practices, cultivate grit. So that passion and persistence, when it comes together, you can do anything. And that is the key to hustling. You have to be into it, fighting all things, all negative noises, all voices, all naysayers. You don't want to get caught up in that. So figuring out that passion, combining it with persistence, and again, bringing that to the table every day, because that's what it's going to take to be successful. Next best practice, let go of perfection. So I worked in a hospital system, and the chief medical officer once told me, never let perfection get in the way of good enough. And some things are good enough. 80% sometimes is good enough. 90% is sometimes good enough. Perfection is a hard thing to achieve, because at the end of the day, nothing or no one is perfect. It's just impossible. So once you can accept that, then you can be more productive, because you're going to be using your time more wisely. You're not going to be focusing on making things so perfect, because there's always going to be a variable. There's always going to be something you can't account for that's going to step in or jump in or try to disrupt you. And figuring out how to correct from that and get past it, that's where that extra energy is going to be needed. If you spend all your energy trying to be perfect, you're not going to have any gas in the tank when something does step in front of you, when that barrier hits, or when somebody says no, and you've worked so hard on this presentation or this proposal and it's not a right fit. So you have to have leave a little gas in the tank to fight all the distractions and the variables that may come your way. And then manage your expectations. Everything is not going to be a yes. Don't go in thinking that it's going to be a yes all the time. Some things are not for you. Some things aren't meant to be, and that's okay. It's okay. Everything is not for you. What is for you will be for you. So don't expect that everything is going to be perfect or everything's going to work out every time, because it's not. And again, that's just managing those expectations, just like you do with anything else. With your business, it's going to be a lot of no's before there's a yes. There's going to be a lot of hard work. There's going to be some negativity from people who you didn't expect it from. Just manage those expectations. And again, keep telling yourself that this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is my passion, and I'm going to keep persisting. Now back to hustle, the S, steadfast engagement. So part of being an entrepreneur, you're going to have to be out there. You're going to have to get out in the streets and yell and do social media, things you don't really like, especially if you're not a social media person. You're going to have to do some of these things just to get your name and your business and your brand out there. So one big thing is networking. Now, this is strategic networking. Again, going back to that, targeting your market. If there's a networking event that is within the market that you're trying to work with, then you need to attend that event. You need to just strategically figure out where you need to be, in what rooms and what spaces and what places, so that people that you are wanting to know about your product actually know about your product or your service or whatever it is you're offering. Engaging customers on social media. Everyone doesn't love social media, but sometimes it's a good platform, again, just to get your name, your business, and your brand out there. LinkedIn works really well for professional, purposes. And then you have Facebook, you have Instagram. I see a lot of people using Instagram more so than Facebook now. Some people use TikTok, some people use YouTube. Again, figuring out your market first and how your market uses social media. Then put your energy into utilizing that social media platform to promote your name, brand, and your business. And then sharing the right content at the right time. Figuring out what works best for your market. If your market is professional women who are executive level, they're up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So is it good to post at that point in time? Because they're going to be kind of looking through their phone, checking their email just to get the day off and started right, getting into their calendar to see what their meetings look like, the next meeting. If that's when your audience is using their social media or their phone or their computer, then that's when you need to share that content. So you get their attention when they're going to be looking at whatever channel you're using. So the T in hustle, time management. is also crucial in the success of any business, or it's in the success of anything, either your personal life or your business. But in this capacity, we're talking about business. So some best practices include scheduling what you do in terms of your productivity during that cycle. Again, this is that zone of genius I mentioned earlier. Figuring out what you need to do, the hardest thing and the most difficult or the most unpleasant, putting that in that space where you know you are your most productive self. And again, that can be 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever works for you, figuring out what that is and making it happen. And again, not letting anything get in your way. So next best practice is creative ways to limit distractions. For me, again, it's to do not disturb. Do you have a certain song that gets you really excited and gets you pumped up when you're doing work and getting things done? Then you have that playing in the background. If your phone is a distraction, put your phone away. Put it on do not disturb and put it in the other room. I walk away from my phone. I can't even count how many times a day I walk away from my phone. It is the ultimate distraction if you're not using it in a productive manner. So I will walk away from it, leave it on the phone charger, and I have my computer and I'm working. So I'm not even thinking about my phone unless my computer alerts me that it's ringing or there's a Amber Alert or something. You know, those things come through no matter what. Other than that, I will walk away from it. So finding different ways to limit your distractions so you can be productive, especially in that zone of genius. And then automate as much as you can. You can try to remember everything. That is a waste of brain cells. You have too many other things you need to be thinking about to try to remember your calendar, remember phone numbers, remember your to-do list, remember all these automation things that you want to try to do, but you never try to do them. So that list just keeps going. And until you actually do something, it's never going to get done. So if you want to start automating, start today, start now. Start figuring out what you can take off your plate in terms of your brain power. And you can have your phone, again, using it as a productivity tool, remind you of things, set timers, etc. Try to automate as much as you can. For me, again, as I said before, it takes a while for my mind to calm down at night. So when I can't sleep or I'm trying to just wind down and I know there's an email I need to send, it may be 2 a.m. and I don't like to disturb people who are sleeping at a normal hour. With a text message or an email, so I will schedule it. So again, that's that automation function on my phone. I can schedule a text message to deliver, you know, this morning at 8:30 a.m. when I know Sarah's going to be awake because I need to remind her to do something, or we need to follow up on a conversation we had the day before. So it's 2:30 for me in the morning, but I don't want to send something at 2:30, so I'll schedule it. Same thing with emails. I'll schedule an email when I know it's the right time to share content with my target audience. So again, it can be 10 p.m. when I'm thinking about this because it's a great idea to just hit me while I was having dinner. And I'm setting up the email and I schedule it to send to the group that I'm working with at 7 a.m. because I know that's when they're going to be on their phone, on their device, looking at email. So automate things in a strategic way so that you can make more time to get things done. And you're also reaching that target market and getting your word out when you're busy doing something else. Because that email is going to send at 7 a.m., whether I'm on my computer, online, whether I'm awake. I may be sleeping in that morning because I had a long night. But my work is getting done even though I'm not actively doing it in that moment. Back to actions, achievement. So this is a thing that's done successfully. When you achieve something, it's a wonderful feeling. You put in the effort, the courage, or the skill to make it happen. And at the end, it's done. So it's a wonderful thing to focus on achievement. That's going to keep you going every day, especially when things get hard. So best practices, set and track your business goals, utilizing whatever tools you need to use. I'm a big Excel person, so I do a lot of dashboards and creating documents like that. Because Excel, when there's numbers involved, Excel will do the work for you. Again, that's kind of like one of those automated features I talked about earlier. If you don't have to use a calculator or a hand, paper, pencil, and add numbers, let Excel do it for you. So I can measure my goals using Excel and using functions within Excel and the programs and macros that are built within that function and that tool. I use that to track my goals. If I want to achieve this, 2 new clients per month, I'm in there tracking how many new clients per month. And at the end of the year, it will sum all this up, 12 months worth of whatever data you're capturing. So then you have your annual report you can create if someone asks you for it. Because again, if you're a business, there are certain things you need to have in place, certain functionalities, certain things are expected. Your customers kind of expect you to share some of those achievements, share some of those things. So you want to be a professional, of course, as you're owning a business, you are a professional. So having an annual report, having it ready, depending on your state. I'm in the state of North Carolina, and so I have to share my annual report with the Secretary of State every year to renew my business license. And so again, it's those things, when I set it up in Excel, I can just run a report, download it real quick, and create that document, share those numbers every year in April when I'm reapplying for my license to renew for the next year. Keep an eye on your company's end goal. So what is it you want to achieve? Do you want to be, you want to have a 6-figure business? You want to franchise across 3 states? You want to have 2 or 3 storefronts? Whatever that goal is, set that up front and make sure you are monitoring that every day at all times, because that's what's going to keep fueling you. That's what you need to work toward. That's what you know you need to work toward. So in that moment where you think you're not going to do something, or you just want to slack off, or you just say, you know what, forget it, I don't feel like doing this anymore, that's going to be the thing that says in your mind, oh no, you need to keep doing this. Because remember that goal? We need to get there. We're here and we need to get there. So keep going. And of course, celebrate every success, big or small. Every win in your business is a huge win. And it could be just getting your name approved, again, with your state or your Secretary of State, if you have that. I'm not sure. I saw London in the chat in the UK. I don't know what your situation is. But again, for North Carolina, it's just getting that name approved. That was the first step for me, figuring out a name that wasn't already used, and then filing the paperwork, getting that approval letter with that Secretary seal. I mean, so all these things are huge. They seem small in the grand scheme of things, but it's a very, very big deal. So anytime you have any success, always celebrate it. And wrapping up, the L, loving accomplishments. So you can love, again, the short term, those small wins, but don't lose sight of that long game. Whatever that end goal is for your company, never lose sight of that. Keep it in the forefront of your mind so that keeps motivating. In terms of best practice distractions, and have patience. Patience is what's going to keep you from losing your mind, especially when things aren't going well. When you are not getting exactly what you want, when you're not achieving those monthly goals, because again, they stack up. And by the end of the year, you're not achieving your year-end goals if you're not achieving the monthly goals. But keeping patience, because it's a hard fight, it's a long haul. This is not a quick reward. It's not instant gratification when you are starting a new business or working as an entrepreneur. So you're going to have to stay focused and have patience as you're building, because it's one brick at a time. And you can't skip ahead. There is no fast forward button. Look for ways to improve. Again, if you're doing things by hand and manual, by paper, figure out how you can maybe automate or get into Excel or get into any other program that can make your life a little bit easier. We are always doing amazing things, but there's always room for improvement. So always look for ways to improve, because if you're more efficient, then you're going to be more effective and you're going to have more time to dedicate to the things you have to actually do. Those things that you can't say, download or offload or send off to somebody. You can't delegate. You can't send this off. You can't assign it to someone else. The things you have to do to have time for that, you need to look for ways to make yourself more efficient and more effective. And then negotiate and learn to strategically say no. Sometimes no is the right answer. Sometimes that client is not worth it. It's not a good fit. I really want to help you, but I can't. And it's okay to say that. I often say no and point them in a different direction, especially if it's something that's it's just not going to be a good marriage for me and that person to work together. They want this, I offer that, and there's no real compromise. I try to connect them with someone I know who is in business as well, who does maybe a closer fit for what they want. They can help them out in a better way than I can without me pulling on my hair out. So if there's a chance for you to say no because it's not a right fit, you have to be okay with that. Again, that's that moment, you know your goals, you know your bandwidth, you know your capabilities, you know your strengths. We talked about that earlier. You know your strengths. So if it's not going to be a good fit, then you can say no. Now, again, the side of that is what I try to do is, again, connect them with someone else, because I want everyone to be able to get help if they need help and they've asked for help. So I do go through my Rolodex and I say, hey, and when I say Rolodex, I don't physically have a Rolodex. My Google contacts is what I guess I have to start saying. But I go through that list to say, okay, Sarah, she may need this help and Tammy does that. Let me see if I can connect them. And then I connect them on LinkedIn or through text or whatever. But you can say no strategically sometimes, and it makes sense for you, and you can help that other person get what they need, even if you're not the one giving them the help. And then the E in hustle, embracing everything. So one win is not enough. Always try to get more, want more, do more. I was telling a friend who's out there, she's trying to find a new position. And I said, you may need to apply to 30 things just to get 3 callbacks or 3 emails. So you have to just go out, not set on just one thing. One win is never going to be enough. So always want more, always fight for more, always go for more. In terms of best practices, be open-minded about finding new opportunities. Again, this is that thing where if you don't care for, say, social media, you may need to start using social media. If you know your target market is heavy on Instagram, maybe post once a week just to make sure your name is out there, that you're relevant in the market. People are talking about you, or at least they're seeing your name and your logo pop up in their feed, and they're looking through it and they're like, oh, maybe I'll check her out at some point. So maybe start with a cadence that's workable for you. That again won't make you feel like you're losing your mind, because I detest social media. I really do. But I make myself use it for my business, because that's where some of my target market sits, and they use it. So I want them to see my name and my logo when they're scrolling through their feeds. Life-changing advice from unexpected places. So you're not always out there asking for advice, but sometimes certain things will just hit and you hear it and you're like, oh my God. Like, so don't always go looking for advice. Sometimes it will come from unexpected places. Just kind of hear everything that you can, embrace everything that you can, and from a knowledge standpoint, and filter out the things that don't apply to you. Because some people will offer their advice, some people will offer their feedback and their input, even when you don't ask. And some people are just downright rude about it. In which case I respond back rudely. Did I ask for your opinion? Okay, thanks though. So always be open to hearing advice, but if it doesn't apply to you, or if it's not going to help you get to that goal, then please feel free to filter it out and ignore it. And then realize that every experience may be different. You can have a target market of, again, the example I used before was executive women, I'd say maybe over 50, over 40, whatever. They are then the same demographic, but your experience with Sarah and your experience with Sally may not be the same. They may need completely different things. They may need completely different approaches, even though you're offering the same service. For me, my example with what I do, I offer the same methodology for figuring out where your gaps are and helping you get to the other side of them with new behaviors, new practices. However, when I deliver this information to different clients, sometimes I have to adjust the message the same. So don't get set on being cookie cutter with how you approach things, because each client may be different in terms of how you have to interact with them and help them, how you communicate with them. Some people may like text messages, some people like phone calls, some people like email, some people like all three. I mean, so figuring out what your clients need and how to reach them is also part of this, because then that's when you get a repeat customer. When they realize that Paulette's catering this to me and she's giving me exactly what I need, how I need it, I'm definitely going to use her again or something, or I'm going to recommend her to someone who I know can use her service. All right, so recapping: ambition, strong desire to do and achieve something. Hard work comes under that, and unique offerings are imperative in terms of acting or action, the acting process of doing something, steadfast engagement, time management, and then achievement, a thing done successfully, but while loving your accomplishments and embracing everything. At the end of all of this, you need my services: email, website, my watch is buzzing me, phone, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And again, I am Dr. Paulette J. Evans with Evans Efficiency Experts, and it was my pleasure sharing all these best practices with you today. Thank you so much.